All right, great. We have got great set of questions. Let me go over the questions and then move ahead. All right. A question from Grishma is that please let me know if you come across this error and how to fix it. I added all required jars and all right. All right. Okay. So I would recommend that generally whenever you face any issue, uh, post it to the discussion forum. Okay. Post it to the discussion forum, and there we would try to answer the question. Okay. So that's a better way. Also, if somebody needs help on the discussion forum, feel free to answer the questions of other people. A question from Bintao is that Spark project getting error when the codes we are saying access df dot create or replace temp view. Okay, so probably this is happening because of running it in older version of Spark. If we run it in newer version, then it will work. Okay, so all right. All right, good, good. Now that is the question from Bintao. So, all right, probably we will talk about, that's the next thing we are going to talk about, how to run different versions of Spark, and then you can do that. All right, so we are also going to, let me just put it here so that, okay, now my next agenda is after this, okay, how to run the Jupyter with PySpark. Okay, this we will discuss today, and because the Scala version is still not very perfect. Okay, so we will follow these three things. All right. So I think your question, Bintao, will be answered at that point of time. Great. So now a question from Rajan. Hi guys, do you any of you have a link to the introduction to Spark presentation? Okay, the link. All right. So one more thing, that even though this link is here, all right, I've shared the link. Let me just share it with you again. But I will guide you to a better way. Okay. What I will suggest is that even though these recordings are available, if you go to say my course is here, okay. If you go to my courses inside your course, if you go by clicking on start, then you'll see all the topics that we discuss in this class. Okay, so this one, Apache Spark Basics. Here you can find the slides. So you can generally go to a page called resources. Okay, resources or slide in every topic. There you can find all the slides. Okay, there you can find all the slides. All right, so basically almost every topic in the slide would be available there. Okay, great. So let me just share with you this particular slide. All right, this particular slide. Okay, so that, is the voice clear now? Just curious. Okay, next question is from Grisma. Question is that, okay, execution error, return code 1 from org. Okay, so do not wait for the session to start. Just please post this error here in the discussion. Any technical issue, just post it there. Me and my team is generally there on the forum. We keep replying to all the questions. And that is probably a quicker way to get the answers. All right. So, yeah. And in case there are other students and other people who discover the forum, they also reply to your questions. So there you can get your questions answered. And we also try our best to quickly answer the question. All right. A question from Robin is there any release notes that come from a Spark version, for instance, stating the improvements, issues resolved from previous version? Yes, that's right. And there are, if you go to Spark's website, there you can take a look at the version changes and you'll get an idea. Okay, I'll brief you about the version changes quickly. And I think that those will be good enough, but you can take a look at more details on how does it work. Okay, on the exact changes on the spark.apache.org's website. Okay, and yes, thank you, Mohammed. The Spark dash version generally give PySpark dash version or Spark shell dash version. It generally gives you the version ID. Okay, all right. So yes. Okay. Question from Binta is that I posted the question long and use a new version, as you said. However, the problem is still over there. Could you share my screen and take a look? All right. Sure. Sure. Okay. All right. Okay. So can we do it today after the session, Binta? After this session? I would love to do it after the session. Yep. Okay, great. All right. Now, great, great. All right. So far, what we have learned is basics of Spark, like Spark features about Spark, and so on. And we also did hands-on. Okay. So these are the basic ideas. So here we talked about what were the architectural differences because of which Spark was faster. One of the reasons was that Hadoop MapReduce has jobs, and each job basically read and write data to HDFS. That was one of the reasons, but there are many more reasons. Okay, all right. So this is what we talked about. A question from Robin is, how is the help command again in Scala? I think it was :help. :help. All right, so we talked about how to download getting started. We were able to do this last time. We also did hands-on with Scala as well as PySpark, right? Hands-on with word count. I hope everybody got it. Now, so in case you want to run different versions of Hadoop, then different versions of Spark, then you can use this way, okay? Also, you can download your own versions of Spark and use those versions. All right. Spark does not require you to download anything. All you need to do is just, sorry, Spark does not require you to install anything other than Spark. And you can easily run it locally as well as with the Hadoop. Okay. So let's take a look at this. So if you go into, say, my lab and click on web console, right? And then or we can just click on Jupyter for now. Okay, so here, let me just copy paste the login password. Okay. All right, so we have Spark Shell here. Okay, so we can either launch Spark Shell right away, or what we can do is we can export these two variables and then launch any of this command. So all I have done is I downloaded Spark 2.0.1 copied it to a common place. That's all I have done. And it just works out of the box. So you can just run it. Okay, so this one is launching the Spark 2.0.1 version. Okay, let me share with you. Okay, now here what I'm trying to show you is that when we launch a Spark shell, you can see that version is displayed next to it, right? So the current version is 2.0.1. Okay, now in this, what you need to do is you need to use either the Spark variable or SC variable. Spark variable is in the newer version of Spark, the Spark variable is more preferred as compared to the SC. All right. Similarly, in case you want to run, say, 1.6 version, you can use this, or you can use this for 1.2 version. Okay. So basically, we have installed. Take a look at this folder. Take a look at all the folders under it. Okay. All right. So you can see that these are the various versions of Spark. All right. A question from Grisma is that what were those errors? These errors, right? So instead of me pasting this onto the chat in Zoom, I pasted this on the Scala console, right? These need to be executed on the shell in the console, not in the Scala console. Okay, these are shell commands to set the external variables and not the Scala commands, right? That's why you see the error here. That's why the error, because I ran it in the Scala console. All right, good, good. So this is one way to, okay. A question from Alok is it mandatory to have HDFS for Spark, or we can do Spark big data programming without Hadoop Spark? That's right. That's right. And you can actually do, if you are not reading data from Hadoop, you can do it locally. If you are not reading the data from Spark, you can read the data from local file. Okay, let me rephrase the question. Is it mandatory to have Hadoop or HDFS for Spark? Answer is no. Or we can do this big data programming without Hadoop and HDFS. Yes, you can. Okay. So you can do Spark programming without Hadoop. Okay, but it is always better practice to use Hadoop for with Spark, because Spark does not provide you its own storage. So you will have to use some third-party storage. All right. So a question from Sachin is, it means that Hadoop software is installed on etc Hadoop conf. This command, this basically, what does this mean? Since Spark is going to talk to Hadoop, right? Since Spark is going to talk to Hadoop, therefore Spark wants you to set these environment variable, okay? And here we write the folder name where we have the configuration of Hadoop. So this location that you see etc/etc is the location in Unix where we keep the configuration of all the products. And inside that etc Hadoop/conf is where we keep the configuration of Hadoop on every machine. You can take a look at this folder and find out all about the cluster. Okay. In the same way, Spark is going to take a look at this environment variable and then going to read this folder and then find out all about the Hadoop cluster from this environment variable. Correct. So Spark is used for processing and HDFS for storage. That's right. All right. The other way, other common way, those who are coming from, say, Python background, they find it more useful to use the notebook. Use the, say, notebook. If you go to the blog, here, there would be a Jupyter notebook. Okay. Yeah. Running PySpark in Jupyter notebook. All right. So you could use this. All right. The easier one is here. I've already created a command for you. Okay. All right. I think this should do. Okay. I've just created this as a command, and the command name is, okay, let me just search for command name. Okay. So Jupyter Spark 2.0.2. Okay. So let me take a look at this script. Okay. What does this script do? This script is common for all. This is where we have kept this script. So this script basically sets the Spark home at this, and then it basically runs, okay, this is a path, these are environment variable that we were setting by ourselves, and we were launching it, right? So if I just copy paste these commands, okay, let me say from here, okay, now the next thing is what we're going to do here. Okay. All right. So what is it that we are trying to do here? What we are doing is we are setting the environment variable. Then we are setting the Python path. Then we are setting the general path. And then we are setting the Hadoop configuration directories. And then we are running Jupyter Notebook at this port. Okay, that's what we are doing. And using nohub command so that in case we close the terminal, it should not stop our Jupyter. Okay, that's why we are saying nohub. If you want to run something that could run in background for a longer time, you should generally use nohub. Okay, so here we have launched this. Again, you will have to substitute 000 with the correct host name, right? Correct host name. So here e.cloudxlab.com. All right, so I'm going to give you the blog post. Yeah, I've already given you the blog post. I'll just put it in the presentation as well. Okay. Good. Now let's go back to the Jupyter. So once it has successfully started, again you'll have to log in just like that. Okay. And so sorry, it is at this location. It is on this location. So you can see that this one is running at 8891 port, right? The default Jupyter runs at the 80 port. So this is the place where it is. Now, if you click on new, right, you'll be able to see all of the environments. You can see Python, you can see Python 3. Okay. So if you click on Python 36, I think that would work. I think default Python would work. Okay, let me just see if it is working or not. Okay, so rather than using the interactive console, we sometimes like to use the Jupyter Notebook. The default Jupyter Notebook does not have the latest version of Spark. Therefore, we have created this command which launches it with a newer version of Spark. Okay, and here you can, let's just take a look at SC. Oh, SC is not there. SC is, oh, I think we need to access it using this blog post. Let me just open the blog post and take a look at it. Okay, so once that is done, right, then we have to launch it like this. Okay, now let me just try to show you that here. Okay, it's taking a bit of time. So you can see that the version of Spark is 2.0.2, and it has read the data from the disk, data from the HDFS. Yes. All right. So in case you are more used to the notebook, you can use this way of logging into newer version of Sparks. All right. Yes, if it is asking for the password, you have to just log in with the password mentioned in the lab credentials. Okay. To execute the command, press Shift Enter. Okay, let me give you the command again. Okay, so once you run the command, you'll get the URL. Take the URL, paste it in the browser, and then okay. And do not log in into my console, my Jupyter. Instead, log in into your own Jupyter notebook. Okay. You can share your screen. I can take a look. All right. All right. Not this piece of code. Okay. This is. Can you just go down? Right. Or I'll tell you better thing. So you could just.
Sandeep, I just copy pasted the code and you posted on
Okay.
the.
Okay. Okay. I can only see the browser. I can't see your
Oh, you
console.
cannot see my screen? No.
I can see only the browser, the blog post.
Oh, oh, sorry. I thought I shared. Let me do it. Can you see now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So it is in Python 3. Could you launch in Python 2? Or you just put bracket around there. Okay. In the print, right?
Mm-hmm.
Print. Just put bracket around. Yeah. Yeah. Shift enter. Let's take
I
a look.
think I should copy paste it over.
That's okay. It says not found, right? That's the reason. So close this notebook. I'll tell you. Yeah, this untitled to close this. Not this, only untitled to, not the home. Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
okay,
Go
I
to
will leave. I cannot.
go to home. Go to home. This
Okay.
Jupyter home. Okay. Yeah. So in this actually, yeah, that's exactly the reason. So in Jupyter, this is our default Jupyter, and
Mm-hmm.
this Jupyter doesn't have the Spark version. Okay, and
Okay.
because this one is coming from Jupyter Hub, a different one. So we thought that since we can't change this one, so we are letting you start your own Jupyter. And the way you do it, you go to your console, open a terminal, say from here itself, you can open. Oh, yeah, this you have already started, right? It says, uh, no, say no, N, right? Just copy paste that URL. You see, Jupyter Notebook is running at that place. Zero active kernels. Jupyter Notebook is running as HTTP
Okay.
colons,
Oh,
right? Okay.
okay.
Just copy paste that one. Yeah. And open that in the browser. Okay. And instead of 00,
Yeah.
replace it with your host name. Your host name is f.cloudxlab.com. You can see this host name in the in the console's browser URL. Enter.
Oh, I have access.
Okay. Show me again. Show me again. Yeah, this is good. Press enter. It should work. All right. So yeah, you can see that. Now click on new and say Python default. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I have to first enter SC, right? So,
Yeah, just copy paste the code. I think that will be good. SC was not required. Just I was just checking whether SC. Yeah, this is good. Yeah, this is the code. Yeah. Uh, here also it's not there. Go back to the terminal. Go back to the terminal. Let me take a look. Okay. Okay. So actually, you just cancel it. Control Z. Let's start it from the beginning. Let's see. Yes. Okay. I'm just wondering what happened. Say Jupyter, Jupy, and press tab. Press tab. Okay. Yeah. Put dash here, dash, and then again tab. Press tab twice. Let's take a look.
okay.
Yeah. So you see Jupyter Spark. We have created that command. Okay. Jupyter. Just type S also here. Type S also.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. SP, and then press tab. Enter. Okay. Let's take a look at it. It says no file remaining. Ouch. I need to take a look at this. All right. I'll give you the commands actually. there is something wrong with this script. Just give me a second. I'm going to give you the entire command. Okay. All right. Just give me a second. I'll try to see if I can just fix it for all of you, and that'll be better. Okay. So just a second. Okay, no worries actually. So yeah, I think all you need to do is, yeah, I'll give you the set of commands which will make it run. Okay. All right. So here we go. All right. So you could try, I've just pasted in the chat, and that one you can run it. Okay. So you can press Control C and shut it down and then see. Okay. Press Control C, press yes, and shut down the notebook server, and then copy paste the command that I have given just now.
I cannot access my chat, I think, while I'm sharing my screen.
And I think you can.
Mm, I don't see actually.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I see it now. So you want me to copy which one? Sandeep, whole thing?
Yeah, whole thing.
Whole thing?
Yeah, yeah.
So you want me to copy this here?
Yeah. Can you share the screen? I can't see the screen. Could you share the screen here? Here. Is it done or? All right. So, all right. Are you able to hear me? As in, should. All right. So, yeah. Should we continue the discussion? I hope the problem is solved. All right. Are you able to hear me? Okay. Great. Great. So let's continue the discussion, and I'm hoping that Grishma, are you able to solve the issue there? Oh, looks like the meeting got exited. Okay, maybe she's trying and will join again. All right. All right. Great. Great. So let's continue our discussion in case, right? So let's this part we will I'll further address this part. Okay, that how to run things inside notebook. I'm trying to get it done, but for some reason the notebook thing doesn't seem to work so well, specifically with Spark on Hadoop cluster. Okay, so we will continue for now with the console, and in case we are able to install Hadoop in Spark, install the Jupyter extension of Spark Scala, which is Apache Tori. We call it Apache Tori. We did install it here. If you go to your lab, we did install it there, but for some reason it keeps crashing all the time. So we are not too confident about this. So this is basically the Scala shell in the browser in the form of the notebook. Okay, what is a notebook for those who are new? So the console that we were using, the interactive shell, this is the browser version of interactive shell. Each cell that you, this is a shell, and that one is that one that you see here. Where did it go? Okay, the one that you see here, this is called shell. Okay, so that is cell and this is shell. So here in this basically is, okay, this is basically the place where you write your code and get the answers, right? Here you have the Spark the context, so you can actually load the data from HDFS also from here. So the same thing which we did earlier, like did the word count, right? So what we did was slash data slash mr slash word count slash input, right? This is what we did. So let's say this is txt, we say where txt, okay? And here we could say txt dot take 10, okay? Instead of single quote, we will have to put double quotes. So that's the difference between Scala and Python. Okay, so you can see. So your Spark also works inside the default Jupyter, inside the Apache Tori. Okay. All right. But this Python doesn't have the one that is default there. So there are these minor issues that Scala, the version is actually older. If you say sc dot version, it is, you can see it's 1.5.2 version. Okay, so yeah. All right. So, Grishma, don't worry. We will do that probably over the forum. Just post your question at the forum. Also, I will update this blog post. We'll go through the steps and let's see if we can get it done easily using via the blog post itself, or maybe via the script itself. Okay, so you can see that we are able to do the Spark shells work from Jupyter. Here we say new Scala. So here seems to work fine. The only downside of this version of Spark Scala is that one, it's a little older version. Second, it sometimes keeps crashing. Okay, that's why we will do more work on the console. On the console, the other agenda is that when you are working with say you want to see what process ran, what happened, what was the time taken, and so on. Those parts you can't see inside the Jupyter notebook here, but you can see that information on the console. Okay, I'm not sure if this has time here. Okay, generally, um, right? So it doesn't seem to have time here. Okay, so therefore you won't be able to measure how much time your program took and so on, while while the console, the actual console, has far more information for you. Okay, so that's why we will stick more to the console than the notebook. All right, great, great. So that was another way of launching Spark. One was via the command called Jupyter Spark for the newer version with Python, while for the default version of Scala with Spark is available as part of Apache Tori notebook in the default Jupyter. Okay, now, so that was a quick way to get started. Now let's start something else. So since this course is going to involve since this course is going to involve the programming in Scala, I'm going to walk you through Scala, make you comfortable in Scala, and then you will be able to solve problems using Scala. Okay. Okay, using Scala, we will be able to code and solve problems. It's very important, as we discussed in the last session also, that learning Scala is going to be a very important skill, because almost every work that was done using Java is going to move. Newer version of the same thing would be done in Scala, and most of the new work will start in enterprises in Scala, because anything that could be done with Python could be done in Scala, as well as wherever anything that could be done with Java can be done with Scala. And anywhere the Java virtual machine, the Java environment is there Scala can very well work out. So it makes total logical sense to move to Scala for most of the enterprises. And enterprises have already moved to Scala, and therefore Scala would be a good skill to have if you want to have good salary, because enterprises generally prefer type safe languages unless you are until you are a data scientist. If you're a data scientist, you can continue using Python and so on. All right. So great. So Scala is going to be an important skill to have. And good news is Scala and Python share a similar kind of syntax. All right. So there are many things that we're going to learn as part of Scala that are there as part of Python as well. And there are some new things which are idiosyncrasies of Scala. Those parts we will cover today. All right. So is everybody ready for jumping into Scala? All right, so Scala is, this is a boring way of introduction. Scala is a modern multi-paradigm programming language designed to express common programming patterns in a concise, elegant, and type-safe way. I know that this doesn't make any sense right now, but let's just go through it. Then we will basically do hands-on. That will make more sense. Okay, so in very simple words, I think I'll just describe. This is like, you know, uh, if you are going for an interview, you might want to use these words, right? So Scala is a modern multi-paradigm, meaning it has multiple kind of paradigm. It looks like procedural and it is object oriented. So it's multi-paradigm programming language designed to express common programming patterns in concise, elegant, and type-safe way. Okay, so it's concise like Python and type-safe like Java. Okay, so it is, midway. It's not unconcise as Java, and it's not untype-safe like Python. So it's best of both worlds. All right, so and the important part is it integrates all of the features of object oriented and functional languages. Okay, that's why we call it multi-paradigm programming language. Okay, now, so it is statically typed, meaning you will have to compile it before you send it to the production. Also, you need to define the data type of every variable. You can't just say x equals to 2, okay? Or you can't just say x as the argument. You have to provide a data type, right? So, so it's basically statically typed. The advantage of statically typed is that when something is compiling fine, that means it's 90% errors are not there, because most of the errors are generally due to mistyping, and that can be solved by compilation, right? And it has a low boilerplate. You will see that very quickly, the people who are coming from other programming languages, that you don't need to keep typing these unnecessary methods. It basically hides all of that complexity under the hood. Okay, so it's very similar to other data centric languages. It's very stable. It has been in the enterprises, financial sector, retail, gaming for many years. So you can see that in 1990, Martin Odarsky created Scala. Basically, what he was trying to do is he was trying to write something called generics. There is a feature of generics in Java. He was trying to make that really better. So afterwards, when he did that, uh, it was actually more performant than the remaining Java. So he decided to create a better Java. And in 2003, he did an experimental release. Now, in 2005, he rewrote Scala in Scala itself, and and in 2011, it got the corporate stewardship, meaning the language got accepted in the enterprise world. So this is history of Scala. Now, all right. So I think yeah, we will go over these things in parallel. I'll just share more information. Okay, here are the slides. All right, so hide the speaker notes. All right, so here we are, and all right, now to launch Scala, you can simply type Scala on the console. Okay, or you can simply type Scala on the console. All right, and then use it. Let me stop my notebook because I had run the notebook, but I did not stop it. Okay, kill all Jupyter. Kill all kills all the processes having that particular name. Okay, don't have to do this. Okay, great. So on the web console, when you log into the web console, you can just type Scala and that will open up the Scala prompt. Let me change the window size a bit. Okay, now this is better. Also, let me try to reduce the size a bit. Yeah. All right. So are you able to see the Scala prompt? So you can simply say where. Okay, so you can actually, the easiest code to write is 2 plus 1. So you can see that when you say 2 plus 1, it's a valid expression and it computes the value of 2 plus 1, which is 3, and creates a automatic variable called res0 having this value. Res0 is result 0. So res0 basically has the result of the first expression. If you say res0 plus 5, okay, that is 5 plus 3. Okay, so that's a good part about the Scala console, that it basically provides you this nice interactive console with which you can actually just get anything executed or done immediately. All right. A question from Robin is, what IDE on notebook can Scala use to test output of a code written? Also, is there an IDE which I can use to write my code and test GI output besides text output? Correct. Good questions. Okay. So for most of the work, actually, I prefer writing either here, either in the Scala console, or using the Apache Tori. Okay. This is Apache Tori. Where does it come from? When you open your default Jupyter, you will click on New, and there you will say Apache Tori. Okay, so this one is basically Jupyter kernel. Okay, for Scala. It takes a bit of time because it initializes the Scala in the background, Spark in the background for you. So here also you could do the same execution. Here I said 2 plus 4 and press Shift Enter, and it is executing. If you see asterisk here, that means it is still executing. Okay, maybe it'll take some time, but it should run. So the first interface we talked about was the interactive console. The second interface is this. Okay. All right. You could say :help here. Okay. This is taking a bit of time, but I'm hoping that it should work. Yeah. These are the variables created by the console. res0, res1. These are the variables automatically created. Okay. Now, if we want to define our own variable, we could say var x equals 4, right? Here we just defined x. And please notice that unlike the Java language, we or any other C or C++ language, we are not telling the data type of x. The data type of x is being inferred automatically as integer. All right. So you can see that here. All right, so that was the first interaction via the console. The second interaction is via this. Okay, let me just close this and launch it again. From here, there is already a running kernel. So I will just shut it down, the second one, and click on the first one, the before one, the one that was running fine. Okay, so I'll just use this as our Scala console. It should work fine now. All right, wonderful. So So basically here REST1, REST2, REST0, you can see REST0, these are being created automatically for us, holding the value of the result of the previous expression. All right. So one is this console, other is Apache, and third one is you could use the Scala IDE. Scala IDE is actually really powerful IDE. It is essentially an extension of it is essentially the extension of the Eclipse IDE. So you could, let me see if I have already installed. Okay, so you can see that I have already downloaded it. So you could also download it from their website and then use it. Okay, so when you are loading the Scala ID, it'll ask you for the workspace, right? And you can give any workspace or just select whatever it is, and then okay, then you can just go ahead and it'll take some time to boot up. Just remember that Eclipse is just too heavy IDE. So if your laptop is of low specification, you may not be able to launch it right away. Okay, it requires a bit of more memory. And actually right now I'm scared that it might, crash the Zoom. Okay, so here this is an example of HelloWorld using the Scala IDE. Okay, in the Scala IDE, you don't get interactive console like the way we showed. Instead, it is more like very uh, object-oriented programming, where you define a class, you define a main method, and there you write your code. Okay, there you write your code. So here you could say where x equals to 10, and then you say where y equals 5, and you say print ln x plus y. Okay, so once you're done, then you can simply run it, or you could say click on run button here, run as Scala application. So you can see that it has executed this. Okay, so this is a simple, very simple code, or you could just try from the beginning. You could say new Scala project, and you could give a name, say hello class, right? And here it'll create this project. You can see it has created the project, and here inside the source you could say new Scala class, right? Okay, name, let's say we want to say XYZ, the name of the class. Once it is done, then we need to define the main method. We need to define the main method. So we are defining main method, and this is the only challenge with these languages, that now you'll ask that what is main, what is class, and so on, right? So okay, so I think it is list, right? It is list, and we could say print hi. Okay, you can see. Okay, we'll have to say right click on this, then we say run as and run configurations, and there we get the run button. No, actually we are still running the other one. So we'll say run as. Okay, run configuration and say Scala application. Okay, and here we have hello and Scala debugger. That's okay, right? No, actually it is not running our code. Run as run configuration, or just try to do. No, it's still running the other one. Let's say run configuration, and we'll just say plus here. Okay, actually it did not find the main class, so we just have to define the main class.
Sandeep,
Yeah,
it is not a list, it is an array. So that is it is not getting the main method. That is why it is not executing.
oh man, yeah. Okay, so it's an array. Okay, so here we go. Thank you so much. All right, great. So basically it was not able to find the main method, and good. All right. So essentially here, I'll come back to the main method and other parts again, how to create the structure. For now, the smallest mistake we need to take care of. So the idea here is that if you want to really use, you want to build a bigger project, then you can use the Scala IDE. Otherwise, the console, Scala console, or the notebook should suffice. Okay, right now we are in Scala ID. Okay, in case, in case, let's say you want to start fresh, as in, let's say you want to take a look at when you start, how does it look? You could just switch the workspace. Okay, so as soon as you download and launch Scala ID, after downloading from scalaid.org, okay, so you have to download Scala ID, then it'll ask for workspace. So I'm just giving it a new workspace. Okay. And then inside the new workspace, you can create a new project. Inside the new project, you can create the file and then run that. Okay. So for now, just follow these steps if you are really, trying to create the project. Then we will go into more details. So CloudxLab, yeah, because the IDE cannot be installed on the lab. IDE has to be installed in your machine. Therefore, this is something you use it one-off. The entire Spark course can actually run well on only the CloudxLab. Okay, this I'm doing because sometimes it's useful to have the environment on your desktop. So you can just create a new class. Okay, so new class, and there you can say Scala class. Okay, and okay, this is this Scala app, and let me see how does Scala app look like. Okay, so it's something called an app, but that's not required. So here you have to define a main method, then define a variable, and then you define the data type. And like here we're saying array. So array of what? Array of strings. That's what we are defining here. And then we are saying print hello world, right? So this is the default hello world that people generally write. Okay. Now, okay. All right, we don't need to extend the app. We can just be like this. So this is your hello world example. All right, so I hope everybody is able to get this, so you can do it in your own time, so you can see that it is running. All right, so this is generally not required in case of Spark. This is just for if you are building the entire project, then you will be using this. Good, so let's get back to the console, and here we are. All right, so now a bit of theory. So a bit of theory, I had already discussed it once, so let me just go over it once more. So the Scala source code gets compiled to Java bytecode and resulting in the bytecodes that can be executed by a JVM, the Java virtual machine. Okay, this is important information to know. Okay, this is important information to know, but we are not going to go the Java route, right? We are not going to just compare Java and Scala. Instead, we are going to look at Scala as a fresh new language. Okay, so yes, since the Scala code, when you compile the Scala code, it generates .class file. We are going to show you that today. Okay, so you can also use the Java libraries. So Java, just like any other programming language, is a very popular, probably most popular after, say, it's basically a most popular language in the enterprises. So there are many libraries in Java that are available. So you can use those libraries in Scala. All right. So this is how the code looks like. So, all right. So if you are trying to create a full-fledged Scala program that can run independently without the console, without the interactive shell, then you will have to write something like this. Okay. So let me just show you how to compile this. I think that will be useful to you. All right. So first of all, when you are here, let's exit this for once and go over to the Jupyter files, right? And I'm going to create a folder for ourselves here. So I'm creating a folder. Okay. All right. So this is the, okay, let me rename the folder. All right, let me just rename the folder. Okay, let me call it the batch of March batch. Okay, we could say March 18. Okay, so that's the code and that's the folder name. Inside this March 18, we are creating a new text file. Okay, so if okay, and inside the text file, we are going to write this particular example. All right, is everybody with me? So what we did was we went to the Jupyter. There we created a folder. Inside the folder, we created the notebook. Sorry, notebook is not required. I'm closing it for now. So first of all, we went to the Jupyter. This kind of folder structure came, and then we created our own folder. It is up to you whether you want to create the folder or not. Since for me, it is just too crowded, so I created a folder, and inside that folder I clicked new and said text file. That opened up this kind of a window. I can change its name, okay, by clicking at the name, and this is the content of the file. Okay, you can tabify by yourself, it doesn't tabify. Okay, so you can save this file as HelloWorld.Scala. That's right, David. So you could actually use the Unix like mkdir command to create a folder, cd to that folder, and then vi to create a file, or nano to create a file. Okay. So howsoever, the objective is to create a file with this name, and right. So once we are done with that, so I'll go over the content once again. So here we are creating one file called HelloWorld. And when you are creating a full-fledged program instead of the script, we need to define a class. This is a singleton class. Here we'll talk about what is singleton. Here, basically, we are defining a class called HelloWorld. This class can only have one instance, and that's why we are calling it object, not class. Okay. Next is that we are defining the main method. This is the entry point. So once we define the main method, we must define like this. We must use the keyword called def main, then argument. And we are telling that this is the data type of the argument, data type of the elements that are going to be in this array. That also we need to define. That's why we call Scala as type safe, because we are explicitly mentioning the data type of the arguments. Okay, and then we are using this. All right. Also, we could go one step ahead and say print ln and print the args. Okay. Now there are a few more things, few more questions. One is that what is args? These args are something that you pass on the command line argument. Okay. These args are something that we pass on the command line argument. Second is what are these? Okay. Basically, if you want to document your code, you should generally put double slashes, as well as it does provide you, I think, the usual way of commenting. Okay, like this. All right. So multi-line comments are allowed in Scala. Okay, as per my understanding. So yeah. So this is the program that we have created, helloworld.scala, right? And then when we go to the console here, we say Scala C. Okay. Oh, so we have to go to the March 18 folder and then say Scala C. Okay. And say hello world.java. Okay. You can keep any name for the file. Okay. And any name for your class. So it has just compiled this file. Okay. It has just compiled this file. If you say ls, you'll see that it has got hello world.class and there's some auxiliary classes created in the same folder. This was our code, and this is what it generated. Okay, so whenever we are using the Scala C, it is converting the text into the bytecodes. Okay, so if you want to find out what is this file, you can use a command called file and say, you can see it shows that compiled Java class data for version 1.6. Correct? So the file command is kind of magical. It looks into a couple of lines in the file and then detects that what kind of data it is. Okay, based on the magic header. A question from Sachin is why two class files? Correct. So internally, this Scala code is getting converted into internally it's getting converted into some Java code, and therefore it is creating two class files. One is the hello world class, the usual one, the one that you are seeing here. Second is an inner class. It has created an inner class along with it. Okay, that class is not visible to you. Okay, so are you able to compile? When you say Scala C, are you able to compile? Question is, you mean the second class? Why is it needed, Sachin? Is that your question? Okay. So generally, if you see your Java code also, if you have the internal classes or anonymous classes, it generally creates another file with the similar names, right? So even in your Java code, you will get these kind of classes. Here, the similar thing is happening. Scala is wiring extra classes inside so that it is able to it'll able to do its own magic. Okay, that's why. All right. Now a question from Bintao is, what are the relationships between class and objects in Scala? Which one do we need to use under the different specific situation? Okay. Question is that here we see class and object. We'll talk about it. In general, whenever we want to put many variables under one single umbrella, or you want to create custom data type, like we have integer, string. If you want to create our own data type, we generally create a class. And if we are creating a data type, which we know that there is going to be only one object across the entire system, we create the data type of the type object. We call such data types as, or we call such classes as singleton classes. Okay, we call such classes as singleton classes. All right, so you can see now this is how we compiled. And how do we run? We can simply say Scala and give this class name. Okay, so you can see that it has printed hello world, as well as it has printed this array of strings. Okay, so what we can do here is okay, so we could just print args 0. All right. Oh, it doesn't show that way. It says expected this and not found that. All right, am I missing some parts? Println this, and okay, let this. Okay, so if I say something here, let's say 1, 2, 3, then 1, 2, 3 is printed here, you can see. But if I don't pass 1, 2, 3, that means the arguments are null and hence array out of bound exception. Okay, so the point I was trying to make is that what are these arguments that we are talking here, right? So, all right, great. So we were able to demonstrate the utility of the args variable in the main method. Okay, a question from Sachin is that there was a question, right? What is the meaning? Oh, sorry, a question from Alok is that what is the meaning of file command here, right? I did file command above, correct? When we did here, let me go slowly. Yeah. So here we have a file command, right? You see, we did file command. Why? So file command is a very generic file command. Okay, it's a very, very powerful Unix command. So whenever somebody gives you data without extension, you should generally use the file command first. Okay, it's a good tip. Okay, so let's say I'm here. I don't know what does it mean by this file. So all I'll do is I will ask file command. It says, okay, it looks like C source. You see? Okay, so it looks like it's confusing it with C source because it has double slashes there. And if I remove these two lines just for the heck of it and put it at the end, okay, and just see what happens. Okay, it is still confusing it with the C source. Okay, but it's quite close because the code inside looks very much similar to C. Okay, now the next thing it does, you can actually try it with, even if you change the extension of your code. Let's say I'm copying hello world, right? Hello world.class to say hvhw dot, let's say zip file. Okay, so I've just copied some code and renamed it to something. But if I say file hw.zip, it still says that it's a compiled Java class. So that's the utility of file command. Okay. All right. So it's a quite a useful command, and you should keep that in mind. All right. So a question from Alok is, what is the, okay, that is done. Hiten's question is, yeah, a good question from Hiten. The question is, semicolon is not required or is required at the end of every sentence? Not really. Just like in Python you don't need to type the semicolon. You can actually skip the semicolon. Let me just show you. So you could just skip the semicolon, and then you could, okay. So Scala, sorry, I need to first compile. All right, so I'll give you a very good tip here again. So if you have to do multiple things in Unix, you could just put ampersand ampersand and do two things together. So it'll compile as well as run this together. Okay, so this is the kind of command that you could use. The ampersand ampersand is, right? So you can see that without even semicolon, it is working fine. Hello world, let's say without this. Okay. So if I just compile this, it'll, okay. A question from David is, do you need .scala on the second command? .scala as in here, this is the actual file name. That's why we are giving the .scala name. Second part, okay. Second part, no, this is a good question. Question is, why are we saying Scala hello world, right? Because the name of our class was hello world, therefore we are calling it with that name. Okay. The other way is to look at, there is a hello world.class here. That's what is being run using Scala. Also, please note that this command and this command are different. Right? This command is compiling this code into let me draw it. I think that'll be more comfortable for you. Okay, so this is one file, right? This is one file, and there is another file, correct? So as well as there is another file here. Okay. Right. So first of all, what we did was we compiled it here. Before this, what we did was we actually did not write any file, did not do anything. We just opened Scala prompt and started coding. Okay, so that's something amazing about Scala, that you don't need to create file, compile, and run. You don't need to do that. You just launch Scala prompt and start coding and checking whether it's working or not. So you can use Scala as your calculator. You can use Scala as your calculator. You can just launch the prompt and start using it as like a calculator. Okay, so this is basically the compilation step. So compilation is converting this, and then this is execution step. Okay, this is execution step. Okay, this is actually calling JVM. Okay, and basically this is calling JVM. Okay, and it's printing hello world here. All right, so it's essentially calling JVM. All right, great, great. So the semicolon is not required. Next question from Sachin is, what is object and class in Scala and what is the relationship? We'll come back to that. Question from Grishma is, so in general, we don't need Eclipse to write Scala. That's correct. You can just use the way we are doing. Specifically, in case of data engineering or in case of data analytics, your time actually will be more spent in the notebook or the interactive console instead of any text editor. Okay. A question from David is, do you need .scala on the second command? No. Okay. So a question is, okay, not working for me without .scala. Actually, it does. It should work fine. Okay. So this Scala command is actually a multifunctional command. I'll show you what does it mean. Okay. And so the Scala command is a wrapper which sometimes just executes your script or sometimes executes the code on JVM. Inside this, it is going to actually call Java. Okay. All right. So is this not working for you? This Scala Hello World? All right. So in simple words, um, okay, so we talked about two ways so far. One is interactive way. Okay. And second one is compilation way. Okay. So this one was done using the using Scala command, right? We call it REPL, read execute process loop, or we also call it Scala shell, right? The other one was using the notebook. Notebook also internally uses the shell only, right? The next step was the notebook is in Apache Tori notebook. Okay. The compilation step was using the Eclipse as well as using the Scala C command, right? So these are the two ways that we have talked about. Sometimes, let's say you have a bunch of Scala command and you don't have that patience to do Scala C. So what you can do is you can write that bunch of commands in a file. You can, let's say, create a new file here. I'm creating a new file called, let's say, my script, and just named it some extension. Extensions in Unix do not matter much. Okay, extensions of files do not matter much in Unix. Okay, so here we are going to say print 2 plus 3 plus 2. Okay, let's save it. All right, so we have got new program called myscript.scala. Okay, in that case, you could just go to the console and say Scala myscript.scala. So you can see that it has printed 5. So that is the third mode, right? Third mode is running the Scala script without compilation using the Scala command. All right. So you can see that Scala command is used for running the compiled code as well as the script file. Correct. That's right, David. All right. Also note that you can't really compile this script, the script that we wrote, because this script is not having main method. It doesn't have a class. It doesn't have that structure. So if you try to, compile this script, what would happen is if you go here, I say Scala C my script.scala. Okay, it gives an error. Okay, it doesn't have object or class definition. Good. I see. All right. Now, question from Robin is, what's this? What is this? Correct? What is this? Okay. So in Unix, the interesting part is that you can combine multiple commands together. You could say things like, right? This is the first command. This is the first command. This is the second command. So the second command will run only if the first command succeeds. Okay. Say, for example, I'm running, say, sleep command. Sleep basically sleeps for 5 seconds and does nothing. Okay. And what I want to do is, let's say I want to say, once sleep finishes, then print, hi, I just woke up. Not print, we'll say echo. Echo just woke up. This is not Scala, this is Unix. Okay, so you can see after 5 seconds it will print just work. It should be just woke up. Okay, so this ampersand command is very, very cool, right? And it can be used in many circumstances. Say for example, what you want to do is, um, after sleep finishes, we say, um, after sleep finishes, we say ls minus ls xyz. Okay, and we say here echo. Okay, this is interesting part. So these commands are quite useful to in general in our workflow. So here the second command, this is another a chain of commands, right? So this will this will execute. So this will execute after this is successful, right? And this will execute after this part, previous command was not successful. So you can see, cannot access XYZ, no such file or directory. Okay, correct. And then it is printing XYZ not found. All right, so you can generally pair up your programs like this and get all the things together. So ampersand is will be executed only when the command is successful, or will be executed when command is not successful, and so on. So this is a cool hack, and you will find it quite useful. When you want to do multiple things together, you could generally combine them, multiple commands in a single command using ampersand as well as the pipe. Okay. All right, so that was a question from Robin. It is more like an command. Thank you, Mohammed. All right, good, very good. And so what we learned is that we ran the Scala code in 3 different ways, and in these particular ways, right? So I hope everybody is comfortable with these. Okay, let me just put the name there. A, B, C, D, and E. Out of A, B, C, D, E, which all have you been able to do? All of you, please respond. So out of these five things, which all have you been able to do? So question from Alok is, what is the difference between Scala C and Java C command? Java C command we get in JDK installation, that's correct. And Scala C command comes with Scala installation. Okay, Scala C is something, when we say Scala or what the Scala guys are doing, this is that Scala C command only, because Scala C command is the only thing that Scala does. Why? Because the language basically converting the Scala code into Java is what Scala does. So Scala C, and again, Interactive Cell was also using Scala. So this Scala command is actually having multiple phases. So if you run it without any argument, you get the REPL. If you run Scala command with a class file, it runs the class file. If you run it with the script command, a script file, plain text file, then it runs it like multiple Scala statements. Okay, so Scala command is quite useful. All right. So a question from Alok is, can we compile Scala class by Java C? Yes, we can Scala class with Java C. No, we can't compile that. We can't compile Scala class by Java C. Okay, but you can run .class file generated by Scala C with Java. Okay, right? Because it's not a valid Java code. Scala code doesn't look like the Java code much. Okay. So out of these A to E, what are the steps you have been able to do so far? Question from Sachin is that which one will be used in real world? Actually, it depends on the kind of work you're going to do, right? If you are going to do a lot of data analysis or big data work, then you're going to use interactive way, as well as when you are building larger projects, you're going to parallelly work in interactive way to check whether things are fine or not. While you are building a product, a big product which has like 15 20 files, multiple people are working on that, in that case you are going to go with generally C. Okay, in case of data engineer you will either go with the first one, while the second one, okay, this actually there is another way to it. We will also talk about one more way, and let's call it, say, uh, F. Okay, and that one is using the SBT. Okay, so these are the multiple ways of interacting or working with Scala. This is more, this is more like production. Okay, Scala is for dev machine, SBT is for production environment, and this one is used only in case of examples, like understanding what is going beneath. While if you have like multiple files and you would like to compile them in a single shot, you will use the build tool called SBT, Scala build tool. We'll talk about this in this session after a while. Okay. All right. I think we forgot the break. Thank you, David, for reminding. Let's take a break for 10 minutes and break for 10 minutes. And we will be back by, we will be back by 9:51 p.m. IST. Which steps do you want? These steps? Okay. All right, so I'm back. Should we start now? All right, so great, great. And here we are. And so far we have learned how to interact with various interfaces of Scala. All right, so should we go ahead? So we were able to follow this step and compile the code, right? Okay. A question from Hitendra is, do you need object definition in Scala code? The answer is no. Okay, here in this class, when you are, let's say, interactive way you are writing, then you don't need any object definition. But in the compilation case, you need the object slash class definition, right? You need object slash class definition plus main method is what you need. Okay, so while in case of running a normal script, you don't need this, because here this script is basically is Scala followed by my script file, right? So that's what we do. And here, this is nothing but bunch of statements in a file. Okay. A question from Robin is Scala IDE in is Scala IDE capable of performing interactive way uh, compilation and running the Scala script? So this one basically does only the compilation. I'm not sure. I've not used it that much. Specifically the Eclipse way. So I'm not sure if Eclipse provides any interactive console. Okay. A question from David is, my script file is actually the code. Yes. Just the difference between this, and this is that in this, when you are compiling the code, you need to define the classes like this. Okay. While you are not compiling the code, you're just running it, you can write as many statements as you want here, right? You could say print hello world. Okay, this is Scala script only. Okay, this is Scala script only. And yeah, so you could run that like this. Okay, this is not a Unix script, it's a Scala script. You could write your program in this. Okay, yes. Good question, David. So I want to differentiate between the two. One is Scala code, other is Scala script. Okay, Scala script does not have any main method, does not have a object class definition. This is the Scala script. And the Scala code has the main method and the object method. And here is your actual code. All right, so I hope this is clear to all. A question is from Subbu. Whatever code we write for compiling, same can be written in Scala script. That's correct, except for the class definition outside. A question from Hitendra is object in Scala same as class in Java? That's right. Object in Scala is same as class. There is a tiny difference. In class in Java, you can define as many objects from the class. Here, object means there is only one object is going to be there. Okay, that's the only difference. Okay. A question from Sachin is, then how did my script can be executed? I think it search it main method. Which one are you talking about? You are talking about third one, third E, right? So basically, yes. So what it does is it instantaneously takes up your script, creates a method and runs it. Okay, creates underlying, it creates the class and main method and everything. It does that instantaneously. So this is the magic done by Scala Interactive Shell. A question from Hitendra, only one instantiation of the object versus many for the class. That's right. Okay, we'll talk about it. It's going to come back again, the difference between object and the class. So yeah, we'll discuss it in bit more details. All right, wonderful. So all of us are, so out of these A to F, which all things have we gone so far? Yes, all of you, please. A, B, C, D, E, F. F, nobody has gone. So just tell which steps out of A to E have you completed? Okay. So Subbu has done B, which is using the notebook, and E, okay, which is using this. Okay. You have not used this method A. Okay. Ravi says that he has done A, B, and D, and E. Okay. All right. Good. Good. So I'm expecting that except for C and F, you should be able to go through every step. Okay. So except for C and E, because C and F, because C Eclipse will take lot of time. I'll say Scala IDE, right? Scala IDE is nothing but Eclipse plus Scala plugin. Okay. So we'll talk about SBT soon, Sachin. All right. Okay, great, Rajan. Great to know that. All right, now moving ahead. So we have already finished this as well, right? Now there is a next one in which we basically can execute a single statement using a Scala, and that is, pretty simple. And so you can see that the Scala command is quite sophisticated because it can do multiple things, right? So here, let's say I want to run only a single command, single statement. I could do that using this kind of mechanism. Okay. So we could write things like print. Okay, so it has printed 7. Can you see this? So yeah. So that's the another way of execution. So you can see that it is behaving exactly like Perl or Python, while it is also behaving like Java, right? Minus E means execute this particular statement. So to execute a particular statement, you could simply do this. All right, all right. Great. Now let's talk about the language semantics. So I'm hoping that all of you are now comfortable with these methods. And as we go ahead, we will be mostly using either the console or the notebook. All right. Now let's define the basic variables, basic syntax. So just like any other programming language, Scala also have variables. What are variables? Variables are locations in the memory where we put the values, and we keep on changing these values whenever needed. Okay, sure, Sabu. I think I have shared already in the chat. If somebody could share, it'll be great. Okay. All right. So the variables are reserved memory locations of to store the values. Compiler allocates the memory based on the data type of the variable. Now, there are two kinds of variable declarations. First one is mutable and other is immutable, right? So mutable variables are defined using where keyword and can be changed, while val keyword values cannot be changed. So val x int 8, val y int 7. So this is how we define the variables. Okay, so let me just try to define the variable. Let me see if I can run it through the Tori. I actually like the notebook, just that this particular version of Apache Tori is not very stable, so I kind of keep it away. Okay, so change kernel shutdown. Okay, I think it's taking some time to run. All right, so we are saying where x integer and we are saying 5, right? So don't tell me. Okay, I'll just go shut down the previous one. I'm hoping this time it'll work. I can close these windows. It's not required anymore. Okay, so here we have just defined x variable as where, which means that if I see the value of x, it's 5. I can assign a new value to x. Okay, and then you can see that the value of x is now 7 instead of 5. Similarly, there is another thing called val. Val means we can't reassign the value once we have defined it. So you can see y is 66. If we try to change y to something else, it's going to give us error. It says that cannot do the reassignment. All right. Okay. Going back. Thank you, Alok, for the question. So variables are reserved memory locations to store values. So what happens is whenever we are saying x equals to something, the compiler is going to allocate a location, right, in the memory. And these variables are basically pointing to those. Okay. And if the data type of a variable is something like integer, it's going to allocate to, it's going to allocate the the space equal to around 4 bytes for integer, or 16 6 if it's a, let's say, 32-bit integer, it'll going to by default the integer is 32-bit, so it's going to store it as a 32-bit integer. So 32-bit integer means it's going to keep total number of 13 bits for this particular variable. Okay, so I hope this makes sense now. All right, so I can actually describe it in more details if you want, right? So when you think about memory, it's a big memory, right? Actually, the memory is kind of a huge array, right? So whenever we are saying a, right, where a, it is basically pointing to, let's say, here, right? This is where it is pointing to. Okay, this could be if this one is integer, let's say this one is integer, it's going to be this, let's say it's going to be kind of 4 bits in the memory. Okay, had it been, say, Okay, had it been say a string, right? Had it been a string, okay. Also, two variables cannot have the same name even if they have the different data type, right? So had it been like a string, then the total number of bytes which will be allocated in the beginning would be different. Okay, so whenever we are changing the values, all it is doing is, let's say here earlier it was 32, we're changing it to say 15, 25, it is going to just change the value. The address will remain the same. Okay, so that's what it means by a variable. Okay, so here integer is the data type. Purpose of integer is so that we know exactly how much memory to allocate for the variable. That's exactly the purpose of defining the data type of a variable. All right, so in some of the languages, the data type is inferred dynamically based on what kind of value you are assigning to it. If you are assigning, let's say the value was integer, you are assigning a string to it, it'll automatically repoint this variable to a new location, and and the data type would change in case of Python. That's right. Good. Wonderful set of questions. Moving ahead. So we also talked about two kinds of declarations here as we, right? So while we are defining variable, either we'll have to say var x integer or val y. Well, either we say var or val. Var means it can change, val means it can't change later. If you try to assign or reassign some other value, it's going to throw error. Also, please note that we don't need to define the data type in this case, right? When you are supplying a value, it will infer the value during the compilation time. It will infer the value and define the data type automatically. Okay, so if you are assigning it to the string, okay, it's going to throw an error. It says that x is supposed to be integer and you are assigning a string to it. Okay, all right, so there are two kinds of variables, mutable and immutable. Immutable variables are useful in some cases. I'll show you why. So the purpose of immutable variables, what do you think is the purpose as per you? Anybody? So we have two kind of variables. One is mutable, other is immutable. Mutable means something that can change. Immutable means something that cannot change. It sounds like oxymoron, as in it's a variable, but it's immutable. Okay, variable is supposed to change. Okay, so you can say immutable. How should I say? Immutable variables only. Yeah. Okay. So what is the importance of immutable variable? Good. Thank you, Alvin. Constant values fixed throughout the program and constants. Correct. So in large systems, we do not want to be in a situation where a variable's value changes unexpectedly, right? We don't want a variable's value to be changed unexpectedly. Let's say we passed an argument to a function. Let's say we are passing an argument to a function, and that there we don't want it to be reassigned or changed. Therefore, immutable variables are a big safety in many cases. Yes, thank you, Alok. Such as threads, sharing a variable or object in a thread while passing the object to the function and so on. So we don't want the variables to be changed unexpectedly in some cases, right? In those cases, we would like to keep them read-only, okay? Such as if we are talking about the data engineering, if let's say certain data does not need to be tampered with, those kind of data we want like to make it mutable. We will keep it well, not where. right? So yes, in case of threads, API, functions, and classes, we may not want some of the variables to change, right? Question from Sachin is, can we say static variable? Okay, can we say static variable? Yes. Question is there a static variable in case of Scala, right? So I'm not sure actually. Though the purpose of the object that you see is actually that static. Okay, so I've not seen the static so far in case of Scala. So you'll have to take a look. All right. So next is we can define the variable's data type by putting colon and the data type, right? Or as well as we can skip the type declaration completely. So Scala compiler can understand the type of the variable based on the value assigned to it. So let's say we are defining where x equals to high. Here x will automatically be inferred as a string. Here we are explicitly saying that it's a string. Okay. All right. So these are called, this is how the type is inferred. Either you explicitly define or you let it pick the data type based on the value being assigned. Okay. We should generally for the in the in as a good practice, we should generally define type of the variables explicitly, because the code will be compiled faster, as compiler will not have to spend time in guessing the type, as well as there's no ambiguity. And so now sometimes not only sometimes, actually very often, we need to create our custom data type. Custom data type is called a class. It's kind of a composite data type. It is started in C with struct, then in C++ classes, then in Java classes, and so on. So almost every language today have this functionality of creating classes and objects. So in very simple words, when you want to create your own data type, we have integer, we have string, we have float, we have double, and so on. Sometimes we want to create our own classes, our own data type. That's what is called as classes. We can create a data type that represents a customer using a class. A customer might have fields or states. Here in case of Scala, fields are also referred as states. So a customer might have first name, last name, age, address, contact number as their states. Customer class might represent behaviors for how these states can be transformed, like how to change someone's address or name. So basically we can control that by the way of defining custom functions. Okay. So a class is not concrete until it has been instantiated using a new keyword. Okay. So you first of all, you create a class with all kinds of fields, and then you define the methods, and then to create the objects, as in the way we said where x is integer and we said 5. In the similar way, we need to create objects of a class. Let's take a look at this one. Say here we have a class called person. It has a constructor which is taking arguments like first name, last name, age, and so on, right? First name, last name, age, and we are assigning it locally. All right. So once we have defined the class, we can define an object of this class. And basically, we are creating a custom data type which has three variables in a single object. Here we are defining the object of this data type, right, with the default value as this. Okay. So that's how it works. So let's just try to do this. So we can define our class. All right. So I scroll down here, and so you can see it has printed that. I'll say println. I hope that works. Yeah. So is it clear to all? So Sachin's question is, can we say that class is a template and object is an instance of the class? That's right. So we can have many objects of this class. Let's say another person, this time it's a Sachin, this time it's a Sikri, and okay, so I'm assuming to be 30 and so on, right? So okay, so we are able to create as many classes. A question is why it's val, not var. Okay, not much of a difference right now. It doesn't matter. We could say where, or we could just, okay. So if we are defining it as where, we could say like this and so on. It says reassignment to the val. Why? Oh, we had already defined it, right? All right. A question from Grishma is that why is it taking so much time to execute on Apache Tori? Actually, that's the thing. So you can, what you can do is you can actually go to your running kernels, and you can kill the kernels which are not in use. Okay, that is a quick way to accelerate it. Okay, it is generally taking unnecessary time. So you can actually do the same thing in the console as well. Okay, so you can. This is the console is really lightweight. Okay, right. Console is really lightweight. Just with the console, it takes a bit of time. A question from Robin is, in Apache Tori in Jupyter, what do I need to click in order to get the output? So you can just say shift and enter. Okay, shift and enter. So you can say run, either all above, run cells. Okay. Or you can press shift along with return or enter. Do you see asterisk there in here instead of a number? Here, do you see asterisk? If you see that, that means it's still executing. Okay, wonderful. So yes, it's actually the Apache Tori for whatever reason is kind of delayed, and we are yet to figure out why it's delayed. We are using the Apache Tori for the first time. We generally use the console, interactive console. If you are, so Hitendra, if it's taking some time, you'll see asterisk here instead of the number. Okay, if something is taking time. Okay. In case you have opened just too many of your terminals, you can go here in the Jupyter, click on running, and kill the ones that you're not using. All right, so this one I can close. I don't think I'm using it. This one I'm using. Okay. All right. So that was, so when we say kernel, right? When we say kernel, kernel is nothing but the interactive console, just like this. It's open in the background. Okay. That's what is a kernel. All right. In case of notebook. And you can create the Jupyter kernel for almost all kinds of interactive consoles. Question from Hitendra is, I'm not seeing result of run cell. It's still taking a long time. So you could generally say kernel and click on restart in case it's not happening. Or close this and go to your running ones, stop all the running kernels, and then go to file and click on new. Okay. So generally, for whatever reason, this Apache Tori is just too heavy, right? Because it's running the Scala in the background for you. Okay, sorry, it's running the Spark as well as Scala in the background for you. That could be one of the reasons. Scala IDE or Eclipse are the same thing. That's correct. Scala IDE or the Eclipse are the same thing. Wonderful. So let's continue. So we learned that this is how we create a person class. These are the arguments that we're passing as a constructor, and this is where we are assigning them to the local variables. And while we are in creating an object of the person class, we're basically passing these values, first name, last name, and age, and then we are calling that. Okay, so this is how we generally create a class in case of Scala. All right, does it make sense to you? Now, further, the next step is, let's say you want to define a function. You want to define a function in the person class. So all you need to do is just go to the person class here and define a method. Define what's the method? Get full name, right? Get full name. Okay, get full name, and it is supposed to return something, right? So it is supposed to return something. So when we are defining functions in Scala, let me just define a normal function. Let's say we are defining a function called hi, right? So we can define it like this. Okay, we can define it like this. Okay, saying print hi. Okay, we're just defining it like this. So we just defined a function called hi. Okay, so when we have a lot of piece of code, what we can do is we can bunch all of this together into a single function and put it there. So every time we are going to call this hi, it's going to basically print these two lines. Okay, it's going to print these two lines. You see that? Indentation is not a problem in case of Scala. It's completely okay with whatever indentation you choose. So it's completely okay to have any indentation. Please notice the difference in the defining the function. Try to define your own function by typing, because that's where you're going to make mistakes. Right now, we created a function called hi, which does not take any argument and does not return any argument. Right? And therefore, whenever we are going to call hi, this code will get executed as such, and there will be no change at all. Okay, so let's say here we could actually further do things like we could have a return value. Okay, return value, and in the return value we could have, let's say, we are defining a string. Okay, in this we have one message plus another message. Okay, and we are saying print this string as well as return this string. Now when we are saying return, we must define the returning data type. Okay, so when we call hi now, it'll basically return the value, which means we can assign this to some variable. Okay, so we could assign this to some variable. I hope this is clear to you. All right, so here it printed as well as returned the value. And so basically this is the purpose of value being returned from a function, right? The next step is, let's say there is a function which takes your name as the argument, let's say name, and we are here. This is how we define a function which has some argument, right? And is returning something, right? So a function is basically like individual computer. Function is basically an individual computer whereby we have input and it gives the output. Input we generally pass in as the argument to the function. These are called argument. The way we have commands and we pass in the commands parameters, in the similar way we are giving the input to the function by the way of arguments, and the function is returning the value to us using return, right? So let's say, now let me just define some more meaningful function. Okay, let's say we are defining the right, is even. Okay, we are defining square. Okay, this is our square function, and here we are passing the integer as the argument, and it is going to return an integer. Let's define the body, and here we say return x into x. Okay, so we can call this function using this, and let's say using square 5, and also say use print with it. All right, so I hope you got the picture of what's a function and how to use this. So we first defined a function without any input and output here. Then we defined a function with which one was returning the output. Here it was just printing, it was not returning. Then it was returning, and then we defined a function with which was basically uh, taking and returning both. Okay, but was not printing anything inside. All right, so that is a function, right? We could define the function on top of the data structure that we created. The data structure that we created above is this. Okay, so we could define a function like get full name, and get full name will look like this. Okay, get full name will look like this. We'll say return f name, sorry, first name. Okay, it isn't complete. First name plus last name. Okay, so in this here we could actually say object dot get full name. Okay, so it is returning the first name. Okay, now if we need a space, we can just put a space here. All right. All right, good. So what we just did was we went through how to define a function. First, we defined a variable. Then we extended a class. We created a class. Then we defined our own function. Okay. Then we defined our own function. Let me document it here. So we define the variables here at the top. There are different kind of variables. Then we defined our custom variable, right? Okay. All right. And then we did that. All right, I can actually download the code. Okay, I can just download it like a text file. Okay, and give you the whole code in a single shot. All right. Good. All right. So I hope, Hitesh, are you comfortable? You want me to repeat some part? Okay, so Jupyter is basically a little bit, when you're new to anything, it looks little cumbersome, but it actually is pretty fine. You can actually move up and down and execute any cell again. And to execute, just press Shift Enter. To add a new cell at any point of time, you press A to insert a cell above and B to insert a cell below. And right? So let's say I want to insert a cell above. I can just say this. You need to press escape to come out of the cell. If you press escape, you'll come out of the cell. If you press enter, then you will go into the cell. So there are two modes. One is command mode and other is editing mode. So press escape to go to the command mode and press enter to go to the cell mode, right? And here, if you want to execute something, you can simply press shift enter. And if you want to insert a new cell, you can press A. You want to delete a cell, you can press X. Okay. And you can, okay. So, so that way you can insert new cells. I don't have a cheat sheet, but it'll be fun to create a cheat sheet. Okay, so we could have a cheat sheet. Also, there is something called Markdown in which I can document my code really nicely. Okay, so I could say here, all right, let's define a class. Okay, so like that, we could document our code. All right, so we just defined a method also here in the class. Okay, so do you want to give it a try? Or can I just add this somewhere so that we could share it? Okay. To execute a cell, just press Shift Enter when you are in the cell. Okay. Just go here, press Shift Enter. All right. Is anybody stuck? This would be a good time to uh, get to execute things. Okay. Okay. Shift plus Enter, both together. Keep the Shift pressed and press Enter. Shift, press Enter. Do you see any asterisk here? You want me to show your screen? You can show your screen. Maybe others are facing the same problem. Yeah, please go ahead with sharing your screen. I'd love to take a look at. All right, Hitendra, you want to share the screen if possible? All right, so probably the chances are that there is something else which is okay. Yes. So, all right, this is okay. So it is int equals 7, right? Equals 7, correct? You can unmute if you want. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So it's equal 7. So yeah. So for printing, you put brackets around x. Okay. Or you can just say x and right. So line number 5, just type x and shift enter. Remove the everything else. Yeah. Press x and shift enter.
Shift enter.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can see that. All right. So
Okay.
yeah. So it's working perfectly fine now. All right. Great.
Thank
So
you.
you can, yeah. All right. Wonderful. Wonderful. So, all right. So a question from Grishma is that how to enter a new cell above. So see here there are two modes. This is a very important part. So here there are two modes. You see here you see cursor in the cell. This is editing mode. If you press shift, the cursor goes away and cursor goes away. And if you press shift, cursor goes away. And then this is called command mode. You can press A. Okay, just like in VI. Okay, now you can, if you want to go back to the command mode, you can just press enter. You can go into command mode. Press shift, escape. If you press escape, you go into command mode. Then you press A to insert as many rows as you want. If you want to delete a row or delete a cell, you can press XXX and it is deleted. All right. The arrow keys work perfectly fine to roam around the cells. Okay, if you are in command mode, you can just press escape and move to any cell. Okay, and if you can just keep on pressing shift enter and keep on going down. All right, so it's basically editor and interactive shell in a single window. Okay, so everything that you're working, it's being saved into a file which you can later on recover. All right, so this is the Jupyter Notebook. All right, so Jupyter Notebook is quite useful and it makes us quite comfortable with most of the works. Now, with the so far what we've discussed is that we created a class, we created a method inside a class which could operate upon the variables of the class. So here we defined full name, this method called get full name. It concatenated first name and last name and returned the concatenated value. So this is a function inside this class. And this function has access to all the variables of a class. Okay, so whenever we want to operate on the variables of a class, we can define a function inside a class. Although we can define the function outside the class as well, but if the function only makes sense inside a class, then let's define it like a member function. We also call these as member variables and this as a member function. Okay, the terminology, you will find that I'm not going to be very consistent or strict about the terminology because there's always this confusion started from C to C++ to Java to Python. They all try to come up with their own terminologies for things, and thereby somebody calls function, somebody calls method, somebody calls transition, somebody calls state transition. So we're going to use a very simple terminology like functions or methods and classes and objects. All right, and member variables. Now, the Scala has a predefined meaning of singleton objects. In case of other languages, if you are using something like C++ or Java, you always end up creating this object, one particular class that you don't want people to create many objects. Say, for example, you are building a large application And in that large application, you have a configuration object. And configuration object is generally common to the whole application. In that, we always end up enforcing that people should not create more than one instance. Remember the static variable? It is a design pattern in Java and C++ and other languages to create singleton objects via the constructs like static variables. So a singleton is a class which can only have one instance at any point of time. So methods and values that are not associated with individual instances of a class belong to singleton objects. Okay, so so let me again explain. All right, so a question from Mohammed is, can you provide a good link for design patterns? Design patterns, out of all of the books I have studied, the one actually, I would say that don't worry about design patterns too much. There are actually 2 to 3 design patterns that are required. I think when you need a particular way, you will learn it. But I can actually send you that link to the book, the one I really liked. Okay, just let me make a note. Okay, let me make a note. Okay. Okay. So yes. So what's a design pattern that you might ask? That there are many common things that you need to do when you are building a product. Like for example, very often you have to create these X and Y coordinates, right? Like whenever you are passing somebody um, a pair, you generally want to have X and Y, and it should be read only and so on. So there are many such situations in the programming world where you need a specific you have a specific requirement. Say you only want read-only variables, you only want a single object, you want it such that it should be flexible in certain direction and so on. So there are always these requirements. So, and when a programming language does not offer you those features directly, you end up creating a kind of a pattern that, okay, this is how, if I do this, then I'll get my desired output. So that pattern is called the design pattern. Okay, a question from Sachin is tomorrow classes cancelled? Yes. Okay, because tomorrow is Easter. We did not know this part, that it's a big festival. So some of the students have requested, so we have cancelled tomorrow's class. Okay, that will happen. Whatever was supposed scheduled for tomorrow will happen on next Saturday. Okay, the deep learning also, the morning class is not there tomorrow. Okay, all right. So great. Now moving ahead to the singleton. So singleton it was a design pattern in Java, but it became so common that Scala ended up creating a pattern in the creating a construct in the programming language itself. Okay, so singleton objects are the ones that have singleton classes are the ones which are enforced to be single, as in there should not be more than one object of that type. So these are very special kind of types for which there is only one instance. Okay, like integer, we can create as many integers as possible, right? But these singleton classes, we don't want more than one instance. Whosoever wants you to use the same object, they can use the same object. So methods and values that are not associated with individual instances of a class belong to the singleton objects, meaning all the methods and values that are defined as part of singleton, they are the members of the class, not in objects. Okay, so a singleton class can be directly accessed via its name. So you don't need to create a new object. You don't need to create a new object of singleton class. You can directly start using it. Okay, so To create a singleton class, you just need to use object keyword there. Okay, so let's say we have this. Here we have defined a hello object. Okay, this is basically a singleton class. This is basically a singleton class. I'm going to copy paste, and then here, here we're just pasting it here. So you can see that. Okay, so we did not have to create an instance of hello the way we had to create the instance of person. Okay, we did not need to create the instance of hello, right? And if let's say there was a variable here, let's say name, we say name, and we have, or let's say age, and we had integer, and we are assigning 100 to it. Okay, so in this case, we could just access the age also just like that without having to access anything, without having to create an object. Okay, also you can press tab to autocomplete. Okay, you can just say dot and tab, it'll autocomplete. Okay, yes, it is very similar to static variables, that's correct. All right, so those are called singleton classes. A question from Mohammed is, can you inherit them? I doubt. I don't think you can inherit them. Okay. All right. So object is a keyword here. That's right. So keywords are something that are predefined in a language. So object class is a keyword. Both are keywords. So objects are useful in defining utility methods and constants as they are not related to a specific object or instance of a class. Okay, so they're quite useful when, let's say, you have a config object. You just don't have to worry about which object should I pick. You just pick the config class and say config.get me this, get me this. And so it's shared across the whole project without you having to worry about sharing. Okay, what portion there is the instance? Object, hello. The whole, this is the instance. This hello is an instance. So all the methods that we are defining is kind of a static class. So hello itself is kind of, you can say, okay, so can be, all right, let me just show you the type. So hello dot, there was a get type, right? Does it provide the type of? No, it doesn't provide the type. Don't worry. So basically, we could take a look at the type of it.
Sandeep, one question.
Yeah.
If we define the object hello, how can we it is static?
Just a second. Let me. What?
We say define as object hello, then how can we static?
So basically, this is a singleton object. Okay. So the way, instead of saying class, we are saying object. Okay. That means it is a singleton object, and singleton means that all of these variables can be directly accessed with the name of the class here, and we don't have to define an object of it. So it's basically
So we
like a
can't
static.
define the object of it.
Yeah, we can't define object. Okay, let's see. So you can see we can't really define the object. All right. So a question from Grishma is why my output won't show name value. Okay, why my output won't show the name value. Okay, all right. So object hello is this, name equals this. Okay, okay. So hello dot name. All right, all right. Yeah, it should happen. Let me show you if it is working or not. Let me show you. Just give me a second. And
Sandeep, when I
this.
run this command, right, only output will be only the age.
Okay, yeah, because it basically prints the last line. Okay, so
Oh,
that's
okay.
the
I
thing.
got it.
So there's nothing wrong with your code. All
Oh,
right.
okay.
Okay. So yeah, good. So here also you can you don't need a semicolon.
I
Okay.
got
So
it. So
all
what's the
right.
use of this then if it prints only the last line?
So yeah, basically that's the common thing about Jupyter Notebook. So
Okay.
whenever you are inspecting something, you generally, without using the print statement, you want to inspect something, then you just type the variable name. Okay. So if you have multiple variable name, the previous ones get overridden, and that's why you should always, if you are having multiple variables to display, use print statement instead of uh, inspecting a variable.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
great, great. All right, thank you. So good questions. Now moving ahead, a question from Robin. Beside the object sample now, please give us a script example for class syntax. Okay, do you mean that, okay, do you mean that like this? So it is being executed from the script only. Okay, like this one, right? You want it to be executed from the script. So it is being executed from the script only. So you could simply go to even the console here, right? And execute the same commands here. Okay, so you can see that. Same thing could be done. And if we are, say, writing a program, let me just show you. Here, let's say we are creating a new text file, okay? And we have just copy pasted this, and let's say we name it person.scala, right? And if we go to the console and say Scala person.scala, right? It would work just fine. And just that it has not, we are not using any, okay, I'm just wondering what happened to this guy. Okay, so it was supposed to print this. All right. So did I make a mistake here, or did I say Scala C? No. Well, okay, so it's executing, but I'm wondering why it's not printing. Print hi, just to be sure that it is printing. Okay, so all right, all right. This time it seems to work with the print, but not with the, okay. All right, so yeah, it seems to be working. Okay. For whatever reason, the output was not being displayed earlier. Now you can see that it is working fine. All right. Or if I just say print ln, what will happen? All right. Is that what you meant, Robin? Okay, great. A question from Bindao is, what's the relationship between class and object and function here? Okay. Okay. What's the relationship between the class and the object and the function here? So class is, okay. Class is what? Class is basically bunch of variables together. The function in the class is the function which is available as part of this class alone. Okay, and this function can operate on the variables of this class. Okay, now what is the object? Object is, there are two things when we talk about object. One is the instance, where when we say new something, like we are saying new person here, we are creating an object here. This is the variable name. You can keep any name here. This is the object. Okay. The second way of looking at it is, second thing that we addressed with object is the class itself. Sometimes we want to enforce that there is only one class. There is only one object for this class. So in those cases, we could use the object. All right. So in those cases, we could use the object if you want to enforce that there should be only single variable of type hello. Okay. Yes, there is no class tomorrow for because of Easter. So all right. Great. All right. Now moving ahead. So now in Scala, just like any other programming language, we have if condition. Okay, if condition looks exactly like the way it looks in Java, C, C++, and other languages. Sorry, I got disconnected. I'm right. The internet. All right. So yeah, I wouldn't be disconnecting without saying bye. So all right, the internet got disconnected. Therefore, there was a problem. Really sorry about it. So basically, we could create the if condition like this. All right, we could create if condition like this. Okay, it's I think taking some time to reconnect. All right, so thank you everyone. That's pretty much for today. And we will continue our discussion from here in the next session. I would strongly recommend that you go through these sessions here along with the class just to answer all the questions here. When you go into my course, make sure that you answer all the questions. Okay, these things should look 100%. David, I was able to do 100% here. Okay, so make sure that you should be right. Make it 100%. All right. Yes, go ahead, Mohammed. You want to discuss one-on-one? Okay, okay. So Bintao and Mohammed, you could stay back, and yeah, for rest we can have a discussion. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at reaches@CloudxLab. Okay, all right. Thank you, Robin. I'm happy that you're finding the session good. Yes, Grishma. So class is practically over, and okay, the Hive project error. Okay, I love to take a look at. Okay, so great, great. All right. So class is practically over. If you have questions, I can definitely take a look. And yes, so all right. You can stay back if you have questions. All right. Okay. Yes, Grishma, you have
Hi
to.
Sandeep.
Yeah.
I was working on my project like yesterday. I got yesterday like whenever I was trying to create the ORC table. This I don't know where.
Okay. You could. Yeah. So we have Bintao, Grishma, and Robin. We have they have all of you have some questions. I would love to answer your questions. So and Sachin also. So we'll just try to fix the problems, and Muhammad also. Okay. So all right. So you could yeah, you could share your screen. I could take a look.
Okay. Let me.
Actually, Bintao has started sharing, so let me help him
Okay.
out. That okay? Just stay with. I think it'll be quite useful to you also. Okay. All right. So this is Bintao, right?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Okay. 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 Go ahead,
Yeah,
please.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, good. Okay, let
Mm,
me start. I just see my problem here. I start
okay.
here. I have okay. I can start this one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, starting. Okay,
Okay.
I can.
Just wait for some time. I think it'll start.
Okay, now I go
Okay.
out of there.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
you see here. I can check cell by cell, one by one. Here, no problem. Okay, no problem for this one. It runs so
It's
slowly,
take. Yeah, it's taking some time. Yeah.
but sometimes it runs quickly. Yeah, don't need
Go to control panel. Go to control panel.
control.
Yeah, there's a control panel at the top.
Kernel start again.
Above that, there is control panel. Yeah, I think it's connected now. Can you try now?
Okay, sure. Maybe I can clean this first.
Okay,
Okay,
good.
it should be easy. Go slowly.
Oh, it's still slow. Okay.
Okay.
What you can do is it happening now? Yeah, it's working now. Yeah.
Okay, good.
So
So this
good. This is
problem start here. You see?
okay. Yeah. Yeah, actually, the problem is, yeah, you know, I got the problem. You know, the problem is that this version, right? This is actually the Spark's older version.
I see.
Okay.
I see you mean here. I can check here.
Yeah, yeah, correct, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see you.
And the
I see.
code that you are using, okay.
Yeah, I see you mean. I show you how do I fix it.
Okay, okay, great.
Oh,
Yeah, that's okay.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, it's already there. Yeah,
Okay,
good.
here. Which Spark do I need? 2.0 which one? This one, okay.
No, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. I'll show you. Do you really want to? Actually, there is no notebook for upper versions. Okay. In Scala, though we have Python. This is a Python Jupyter notebook, by the way. The blog you are seeing, it is for running Python Spark using Jupyter. Okay. And so I would strongly recommend you running it through the console. Okay, I'll show you. So the one that we discussed today, use that one. Okay.
This one but this use PySpark, not Scala.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So I tried. It doesn't work for me.
Yeah, that's a issue here. And yeah, just search for Spark here. Just search for Spark.
Where? Here?
Control F here. Yeah.
Yes, search Spark.
No, in this piece there is a blog post for running multiple versions of Spark. Just Control F.
Control left.
F as in flag. F as in father. Control F. Yeah. Search for Spark. Yeah. So come down slowly. Yeah, come down slowly. Yeah, there. You see, there are two. Yeah, that's the one. Correct. Yeah, this is the one. Yeah. Okay. Click on that. I'll just show you. And then I think, yeah, these the steps. Yeah, this one. Okay.
You mean I will try this one?
Yeah, try. So all these lines, the whole block of code. Yeah, these line number 5, line number 6.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. That's it. Now the next line. Okay. Where were the block? Okay. Yeah. Now you run there. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it was pasted multiple times. Okay. Control U.
Control U here.
That's it. Enter. Now, if you copy paste the code here on this, it'll work fine.
Yeah, but I want to work in the Jupyter notebook.
Okay. Let me. Me and Abhinav are trying to bring it up. Okay, this Apache Tori for the newer versions is not working. We have tried multiple times. Okay, so we are trying to bring Apache Tori for the newer versions. So far we are not successful, but we are still trying. Okay, so once that happens, we'll let you know. Okay, for now you can try this way.
Oh, okay.
So probably
I would come in the console. I cannot work in the Jupyter notebook.
Yeah.
So far,
all right.
Yeah. So far, I would come work in web. Cannot work in the Jupyter notebook.
That's right.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, this is for the Spark 2 version. Spark 1.5 is available as part of the new Apache Tori. Okay, the 2 version is still not working well, so we are still trying to do a bit of research there and trying to get it fixed. It will take us a week or so to get everything up and running.
Okay. Another question.
Yeah.
I want to download Scala IDE.
Yeah.
Look here, I download here this one.
Okay, that's SDK, and you have to download this one, first one also. Yeah. Download ID. Okay. So you know what you have to do. Okay. So you have to extract the entire one. So go back to Scala IDE. There's a lot of noise coming from background. Okay.
Your background is so loud, I cannot really hear you.
What?
Your background is so noisy, I cannot really hear you.
Yeah, I don't know what background is this. Can everybody mute themselves, please? I can't hear. I can't hear anything. There's a lot of noise.
Okay, actually, I
Yeah.
extracted both of these file.
Mm-hmm.
You can. I show you here.
Yeah. Okay. I think you downloaded something else instead of downloading Scala. Scala IDE.
Not
Okay.
this.
You downloaded the SDK. Yeah. This is the one. Oh, it's saying Scala IDE provides editing and debugging. Okay. Okay. All right. Instead of opening directly from the WinRAR, why don't you just extract everything? Okay. You should just extract the entire folder.
Entire folder, you mean?
Yeah. I'll show you. Just close this window. Close this window. Go to the folders. Yeah. Go to the folders.
This
Right
one?
click on it. Right click on it,
Uh-huh.
and say extract files.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay. Say click OK. Click
Oh,
OK.
okay, but okay. Can I choose a specific location?
Yeah, you can specify the location.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, just create another folder or something like that. And
Let me check something. New. Okay, this one. Okay, not this one, not this one, not this
okay,
one. This one. Okay.
okay,
This one. Spark. Okay.
yeah, okay. Actually, you were already in the same folder. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I want to in a same folder. But
Okay. Yeah. Go up.
uh-huh.
Yeah,
This-
that's the one. Yeah. No, not this. Go down. Yeah, that last one.
Yeah.
Correct.
Is this one?
Double click that. Click on Eclipse now.
This one.
Click on it. No. The application. Yeah, this one.
Application. But there are two application. I only collect this one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. Okay. And also, in case your machine does not have Java JDK, you should install JDK.
I have
Okay.
I have that one.
Okay. It'll ask you that if you have not installed JDK, you need to.
Actually, I have done it.
Okay.
Don't
So
give
it'll
any-
take. I hope it'll work fine to you. All right. If you have any questions, just let me know. Okay.
Yeah.
It keeps on exiting from here.
Okay, here, launch it.
Yeah, launch it.
But I cannot see it.
No, it should open. It should open. It should come up.
Okay, here.
Oh, there was some error.
Yeah.
Okay, there was some error. Probably there's a problem with the JDK. So go to just search in Google and install JDK.
Okay. I can try it later.
Okay, yeah, please.
I have another.
All right.
One TensorFlow reference.
What?
TensorFlow reference.
Okay. So yeah, TensorFlow. I think the main documentation is good enough. Okay.
Okay.
Right. All right. Just drop me an email. I'll reply to the email. That will be better.
Yeah. Actually, you last time you mentioned we will have a project. We said that agreement. I send it back to you.
Okay. Yeah, I got the agreement. I'm trying to get the data that. Okay.
Okay.
So the client has not. Yeah, client has sent me half of the data yet, but they have not given me the labels. They have given me the raw data. So that's why there are two people on the project. You, Kamal, and one more person. So
Yeah.
there'll be.
Could we set up Slack?
Okay. What?
Set up a Slack. You know Slack.
Yeah.
Can't specify on this project.
Okay. Slack. Okay. We can do that. Yes, we can do that. Sure.
Yeah, well,
All right.
it's a way we can communicate.
Sure. Let me do that. Let me figure that out. Okay. Wonderful.
Okay,
All
thank you
right.
so much. Have a good day.
Yes, you too. Have a good day. All right. Thank you,
Hi,
Pratap.
Sandeep.
Yeah. Hey, Mohammed. Yeah.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, Mohammed. All right.
Hi. So I am a student here in Florida right now,
Okay.
and I work for like one of the labs here.
Okay.
So they've now recently started to move. They've recently started to do a project on big data.
Oh, wonderful.
So they are kind of confused on how to begin with it. Right now, we've started to do a few things. We started with Hortonworks.
Uh-huh.
We downloaded the sandbox and then explored the sandbox.
Okay.
We did a few classification algorithms using the sandbox too.
Okay.
But the thing about that lab is they want to construct an architecture in such a way that this can be scaled to a larger level, and they want to make it exactly the way they use it in the commercial space. So
Okay.
this
Okay.
lab is a part of the university, but their
Oh,
business is not restricted to the university. It's like a
okay.
private company, the same way it works. So they want
Correct.
some guidance on how would they set up the architecture that one time they make it and then they just change the data set and then they can do whatever processing they want to. So
Okay.
that's the basis of the project. So can you help me
Okay.
out on that, please?
Right. So yes. So if they are going with say Hortonworks or any of that, right? The lab once set up goes forever. Okay.
Okay.
And you can because a Hadoop file system follows the same similar permission like Unix. So you can actually set up the data set, everything in a read-only fashion for all, the way we have also set up. Okay, the
I actually
permissioning just
had a
like Unix.
question about your architecture too. I see
Okay,
you have Ambari and you also have Hue. So you have
right.
some components from Hortonworks and you have some components from Cloudera, correct?
Correct.
So that customization was done by you guys or it was by the company, as in
Or no,
Cloudera and
no,
Hortonworks,
we actually poked around it and then we made it work.
or you made it working? So the company has nothing to do with all this.
No,
You
company
guys.
has nothing to do with it.
One more question I have. So what they were thinking of, if how about we take four virtual machines, and on
Okay,
each virtual machine we have one of the technologies running. So supposing
okay,
the architecture that they are looking at is on one of the machines they want Kafka, on one of the machines they want HDFS, and on one of the
okay,
machines they want Spark. These three elements is their concern. That's it. They don't want
okay,
Pig, Hive, and all those things. Their main processing is only done through Spark,
okay.
and their storage would be Cassandra and HDFS. So these four
Okay.
components, they want to communicate all of them together.
Okay.
So that's their idea, and they told me to research about it, but I couldn't figure out. And that's
Okay.
why
Okay.
I joined this lab so that I can get some guidance.
Okay. So see the idea, right? It's a very common thought that let's just separate out some component on one machine, some component on another. But if you look at it, all of these components are distributed, right? All of these components are distributed. Therefore, the architecture that we follow, is Zookeeper is on all machines, data nodes is on machines, Kafka is on all machines, and and so on. So that's the way we have gone ahead because uh, isolating individual machines will not make sense because the overhead of computation will be so high that it wouldn't make sense. The other reason for what I'm suggesting is, I'm suggesting that let all services be on all machines. Okay, because in distributed computing, see what you want to do is you want to take the data, you want to take the code nearer the data. That
Correct.
essentially means that Hadoop file system has to be distributed on all the machines.
Okay,
Okay,
so HDFS has to be on all the machines.
all the machines,
Can
right?
you actually
Similarly,
can you do me a favor? Can you
right.
open like a paint window and then draw it for me? Because it's gonna be difficult for me to visualize otherwise.
Okay, I think it'll be uh Can we either do it on one-on-one, or is everybody else okay with understanding this?
Like I'm fine. I don't mind
I
if
don't,
everybody wants to listen to me.
okay, so yeah, all right. So, okay. So yeah, the way we have done it is, I'll just give you a very quick overview. Okay. So see, the architecture which we have followed is the architecture that almost every company follows. Okay.
Okay.
And basically, say in Mobi I worked with, there the structure was similar.
Okay.
The Amazon also, we had the similar model, that the idea is to distribute the work and take it nearer to the data. Okay. So that means, let's say you have 3 machines, right?
Okay.
And you set up, say, Zookeeper is inevitable on all machines, right?
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
Similarly, data node will be inevitable, right?
Okay.
Okay. All right. And okay, so like this. Now,
Actually, I can't. Have you shared your screen with me because I can't
oh,
see it?
sorry, sorry. Okay, yeah. So,
All
right.
right. Yeah.
So
Thank you.
basically, that's the idea, that we basically put in all these services on all the nodes, and so what do they want to use for computation?
Just Spark.
Hmm?
So
This
Spark stream.
Spark, right?
Spark.
Spark streaming or Spark, right? So yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So when you are doing that computation, right, the computation Spark is meaningful only if you are doing that computation nearer to the data. And let's say your data is in HDFS in data node, right? Here, this is where your data is going to be, correct? One file broken down into these parts and located around. So you would like your computation to be here. Okay.
Okay.
And this computation would happen inside the yarn container. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So, I mean, this is standard process. So what we do is we just follow the Ambari way. Okay. And the default values that Ambari suggests are actually pretty nice. And so I think that will be good enough. Okay. Just follow the Ambari way. Okay. And it's my strong suggestion that if you really want to process the data and you use the Spark or any of these components, basically for distributed computing, meaning taking the code nearer to the data. All right.
But I have a
So,
question.
yeah,
You said if all, how about if my data is streaming? Then how would
yeah.
it matter that the code, I mean, the code is nearer? Sorry, I'm
Yeah,
trying to get.
so even if your data is streaming, right, a lot of data is coming, that
Yes.
means you would want multiple executors parallelly. And these machines would be mostly free, not doing anything. They are just data stores. Zookeeper doesn't
Correct.
take much of the time. They're going to be free. So when you have a lot of streaming data, you would like to distribute that work as well, right?
Yes, that's
And
correct.
therefore you will need multiple machines simultaneously.
Okay, so the idea of having everything on one VM, as in have 4 VMs and have all the services on each VM. That's what you're trying to say, right?
Yeah, the Ambari way. Yeah.
The Ambari way. Can you like? I would actually I do understand, but can you provide me some documentation on to read about so that I understand better?
Yeah, yeah, I'll show you. So we had done it earlier as a blog post to our all users. So if you go to our blog, so it's a 3-hour webinar we did on how to install entire thing. That would help you if you go to, say, blog.
Okay.
Okay, and there we have shown how to install everything. Okay, okay. So you take a look at this one. All right. Rest you will figure out.
How to install Hortonworks.
Right.
This is HDP.
Yeah, STP.
But what their idea is they don't want anything to go on the cloud. It should all be in-house.
Yeah, yeah. It
That's
doesn't matter, right?
it
It
doesn't
it
matter.
doesn't matter. Only one step will vary, correct? Only this step where we are taking machines from Amazon will vary. Rest
Okay.
remains same, correct?
All right. So just like read the
Just
blog post.
yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Only the step 1, 2, and 3. These will change in your case. Rest will remain same.
Steps one,
Okay.
two, three will change.
Yeah. Rest will be same. All right.
All right. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay. Great,
And in
Mohammed.
case,
Great to talk to you.
like, what would be the best way of getting in touch with you directly?
Just send an email to reach us or put on the I saw the message on the discussion forum. Okay. Because I have stopped checking my email. I generally look at the help this email more. All of us, all the whole team actually looks at the reaches at CloudxLab. So the
All right. All
best
right.
way to reach out to us is that.
All right.
Okay.
Just in case I want to direct a mail personally to you, do I put your name in the subject so it goes exactly to you?
No, I will see the email. Just in the body you put that.
All right, fine. Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay. Thank you so much for your
Okay.
time. Thank you.
Great. Wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah. All right.
Hi, Sandeep. Okay.
Hey, go ahead.
You want me to share my screen?
Yes, let me stop the screen sharing. Yeah, go ahead, please.
So you can see my screen,
Not yet.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
So yesterday I was getting one error, today I'm getting different error. Now it is showing this.
Okay. All right. So it says that the JSON survey is not found, meaning you have to put add jar. Okay.
I did it yesterday. I mean, here are the jars which I
Yeah,
downloaded.
this one is in local directory, right? Okay. So
Yes.
just say add jar there and copy paste that name. Okay.
Should I do it every time I connect to High or
That's right. That's right. That's right.
every time?
Yes, yes. Because
Oh,
this remains only transiently in the environment.
okay. So I should do it
Okay.
on the default version.
Put semicolon. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I think you'll. Okay, good. It's added.
You want me to add all the jars?
No, I think this is good enough, right?
Okay.
No, there is Saturday also. Can you just add Saturday?
Yeah.
Saturday. Yeah, Jason Saturday. I
Mm.
think, yeah.
I downloaded two actually. I think both
Okay.
versions.
Okay. I think this is, yeah, this is more useful. Okay, good. All right.
Can I minimize this?
Yeah. I can't see anything.
Oh no,
I can only see the console.
I wanted to copy the command, but um, so you can see it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it's working now.
Okay, great.
Thanks. Sir.
All right. All right.
Sandeep,
Great.
can I share my screen now?
Yes, please go ahead.
You can stop sharing.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me. Okay. I'll have to now. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I am opening the Jupyter notebook. So where to run those classes?
Oh, Jupyter. Okay, there is a new. Which one? You want to take a look at the Jupyter notebook, right? That
Yeah.
the where we were writing the Spark code,
Yes. Yes.
Scala code. There is a new button there on the right hand side.
Okay.
Click on Apache Tori Scala. Here you can write the code in R, Python, as well as
All
the
the code
Scala.
which you have
Yeah,
given.
no, their new button was there, na? There were multiple options. I'll go back there.
Yeah.
Fourth tab. I think it was fourth
Yeah.
tab, right? You see, here you can actually open Bash, Python 3, R. You can create a new text file, create a new folder, and terminal.
Okay.
Okay. So you can
Okay.
practically do everything from here.
So this is the code which you are given. This code.
Yes, it looks really ugly by copying here. Okay. So yes. So what happened to this code? Okay, let me try giving you again. Can I suggest you something? I think you have the other text editor, right? You will
Yeah.
not use this notepad. Okay, notepad kind
Okay.
of always screwed you up. Okay, either you use say Sublime or say Edit Plus or say Notepad Plus Plus or something like that. Okay,
Okay. You please give the code. I will.
okay. Let me just give it to you again. All right. So where was the file that we downloaded? Downloads. And yeah, I think I got it. So I'm putting it on the chat box again. You can just take a look at that one and directly put it in the notebook.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. So you go to the 5th tab in your browser.
5th tab.
Yeah. Next tab in the browser. The notebook I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is that environment. So here you can basically paste it. See? Okay. Now you can in parts just press shift. Yeah. Okay. So what does it say? Reassignment to the variable val. Good. So this is the one error we wanted to demonstrate, that you cannot reassign, correct? So you
Okay.
basically create more cells, copy paste the code that you want to run, and that will run.
Okay. Each line with one cell.
It's up to you. It's up to you.
Okay. Okay.
It's your choice. Okay.
Yeah.
Although we can actually share the notebook also and use that. Okay. I think we have, all right. If you say GitHub, I think on GitHub we have shared everything. Let me just show you that. Okay. Right. Session. Oh, good. I think we found something. Okay. Right. I can share you my previous session's notebook. Take a look at the link that I've shared in the chat.
Okay.
Okay. Are you able to open that?
No, I'm not tried.
Okay, great. I think you can handle it. So open this in the browser. Open
Sure.
this URL in the browser, and there, that's our code from the last session. Okay, code
Okay.
from the last session. I can actually do the same thing today also. Whatever code I have written here, I can put it as a separate file and share it with the people. Okay, let me do that.
Sandeep, I need to do this
Mhm.
Spark project and Hive project. So whom should I reach if I get some problem?
Just send an email to reach us at CloudxLab. Okay,
Previously I emailed, but no response I got.
is it?
Yeah.
Okay, just give me a second. Maybe the email went somewhere. Um, I am right now taking a look at it. Okay, so Sachin. Okay, not okay. Yeah, we have an email from Sachin Prajapati, Sachin Kumar, Sachin P. Is Sachin P is your account? No, Sachin. Okay, regarding the video, right? Hi, please upload the video for this. Is that your? Is that the email
This
you're
one,
talking
this
about?
one.
Okay, getting error. Okay, okay. Oh, I think I replied. It says the table already exists. So looks like. Did you get my email or is it going somewhere?
By which name? Sandeep.
Sandeep Giri, yeah. I replied on March 12 after three minutes or so. Not yeah, after 2 hours actually, not 3 minutes, 2 hours. Yeah, in that if you go, yeah, here, this is where I said it says that the table already exists. So looks like it is already created. Are you using correct use table statement before executing? What I suspect is in this case is that your table was already created, and every time you execute something, right, you have to use the database use. Okay,
Okay.
because the on the right hand side the drop down of this hive is not correct. So maybe they have fixed the bug, but the drop down doesn't show the name people of like your name or my name, because our alphabetically our names come at towards the end. So that
Okay.
drop down doesn't show it. So you'll have to use the use statement again and again. All
And
right.
look, that queries are also very complex. So
Mhm.
can I write email to explain it and for the explanation?
Right. Right. Feel free to reach out.
Okay,
Okay.
I will. Thanks,
Okay.
Sandeep.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll suggest you something. If you have any technical question, right, leave it on discussion forum. Actually, a lot of students are also replying there. Okay.
Okay.
And we are also keeping an eye on both the things, reach us at CloudxLab and discuss at CloudxLab. So if you
Okay.
post here, the chances of getting a better answer is high. Okay.
Okay.
You can see my screen. Not yet. I'll show you. Okay. So if you basically post it here, clicking on new topic, it is better. You'll get a quicker answer. Okay.
Okay.
So that is, yeah. All right. Great. I hope
Okay.
things will be all right.
Yeah.
All right. Good. And any other questions? Alok, you have something? Robin? Subbu? Okay, just a second. All right. Yes. Yes, please go ahead, Robin.
Hey, Sandeep, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, sir. Thanks. My question, yeah.
Mhm.
I just want to make sure that I get 100% on Linux. I got stuck
Okay.
up on 38 to 40, but now 38 work, but
Okay.
39, and no matter what I do, including this latest one, zero Gmod 0 minus R, it gives
Okay.
me an error, sir.
Okay. I'll just take a closer look. Okay. So you're saying touch empty file. Okay. Chmod. Give it permission such that nobody other than owner can read the file. So nobody other than owner can read the file. So right now, so nobody other than owner. So even owner can't read the file right now. Can you show me ls minus l again?
ls minus l, hold on.
The previous, just press 2 arrow keys. Yeah.
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 Okay.
That's it. Yeah. So yeah, you say ch mode.
CH mode. Okay.
Okay. Ch mode. U. Okay.
Mhm.
Plus R. U plus R. Comma.
Mm.
G minus R.
Mhm.
Comma.
Okay.
Other minus R. Yeah. O minus R. That's it.
So
Enter.
what is U?
U means
in a while?
user. User means the person who owns it.
Okay.
Okay. O
The owner.
O
The
does
owner.
not mean
Okay.
owner.
Yeah, I thought
Right.
O is the owner. Sorry.
Yeah. O is for others.
Okay.
Okay.
So it should work now.
Yeah, it should work.
Oh,
Yeah. Try
then,
now.
oh, thanks. And
Awesome.
one more, sir.
Okay.
Next one. Yeah.
You can actually, I can actually put it in the comments if you get stuck. Okay.
Okay. And I think this is the last one. I'm just allowing the
Okay.
the
Okay.
readers. Maybe this is easier. Maybe this is
Okay.
easier now because I'm just
Okay.
allowing
So,
the group. So it's just GR, right, sir?
right. So owner of the file should be able to read and modify. So here we are saying give it permission such that owner of a file should be able to read and modify. Okay. Okay. Meaning U plus R, comma U plus W. Okay. U plus W, all small. Okay. And members of the group can read, others can. I think it's kind of. I would let you try a little bit more because it is kind of. I'm feeling a little bit awkward about it. So you just give it a little bit more try. Go back to the previous one, and right.
Yeah.
And I think you give it more try, or you just leave it in the comments, and right. So then there. If I right away, instead of giving hint or instead of you trying, if I tell you, you'll all forget again, right? So I think a better would be just go back to more slides and
Yeah.
you'll get a full idea.
Right.
Okay. So there are multiple ways to do the same thing here, putting the numbers and everything. Okay. And I would love to explain, but I would love to give the hints instead of giving the
Right. Right.
answer.
But thanks
Okay.
for 39. Thanks because it gave me a big hint.
Okay.
39
Okay.
and
Okay.
Sandeep, my
Yeah.
email. Remember the AWS special class? I was requesting for the chat copy. I mean the question and answer copy.
Right.
So maybe I'll
So
resend my email, sir. Or
yeah, that'll be great. I had requested my team to have share the chat. Okay, but we have only put on the okay. So in the lab we have blog. I think blog we have not shared the chat. Yeah, please send the email because that's a little confidential, the chat, and would love to share the chat with you. Okay.
Okay, Sandeep, thank you very much.
All
Highly
right.
appreciate it.
Great. All right. Wonderful. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Robin. All right.
Hi, Sandeep.
Hi.
Yeah, Sandeep, just 1 minute, 1 second. Like, I have missed some class in this month. Like, so where can I get the recording that on the
Okay.
10th,
Yeah.
11th March and 3rd, 4th March? The fourth class I made.
Okay. So yes, good question because the somewhere somehow the UI of the our design isn't too intuitive. So if you go to my courses, right, you will be
Yes, yes.
seeing Big Data with Spark.
Okay.
Not this one, not this one. I'll go back. Here, if you go down, you will see these kind of sessions.
Okay.
BD, ILT. So what do you see on your screen?
Yeah, I am seeing this one.
You can share your screen. I can guide you. So it should be there.
Okay, okay. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, yes, I'm able to read.
So
So
here,
here you can, yeah. So leave the first one. Leave the first one. Go back. This is a self-paced course with exercise in everything.
okay, okay, okay,
Okay. So I would, my personal recommendation would be that you go through the self-paced one.
okay,
Because what will happen is the live class recordings are harder to follow. Okay.
okay,
I'm being very honest. I can't myself watch my recordings. Okay.
okay,
And so what I'll suggest is the first session, right? Just go through that one. We have everything recorded for you there. You can
this
just,
one,
yeah, this one. Follow the exercises, do that. If you
okay,
specifically need the videos of last session, those
yeah,
are in the other playlist. If you go back
this
in
one,
these, next one.
this one,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
okay, okay,
Okay.
yeah. Jan 20th.
Yeah.
But where
So
is the
if
model?
go into them. Go into
This
them.
one?
One is Spark, another is Big Data. So you see 14
Okay.
pages are there. Okay.
Yeah, okay, okay, this one. Yeah, yeah, got it.
Okay. All right. So I think this is good enough for you.
Yes, Sandeep, thank you.
All right. Wonderful. All right. So Subbu and Sachin, you have questions? Or are you done? So if you are done, I can hang up now. All right. Go ahead, Sachin. Okay, Subbu, I think Subbu and Sachin, do you have questions? And Alok is done. All right, great, great. Uh, all right, then I think we will end the session now. We will meet next Saturday. In the meantime, please go through the exercises in the self-paced part. Go through that, finish that, and that'll be good. All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you for your patience with each other's questions and being supportive. And have a good day. Bye-bye.